I agree with that. You can always carry
Yeah.
those foundation fundamentals like almost
Oh,
anything. I really want to
yeah.
talk about how, I really hated as a child that I could not afford like what you were mentioning. I could not afford the
Mm,
tournaments. I could not afford the trips. I could not afford even some of the
mm,
equipment, right? So hockey, I could only look at it and dream at it. Like I couldn't afford a goalie stuff, all that and everything. So
mm,
imagine how like that's just two cases we're talking about, you and I.
yeah.
Imagine how many more I've had to go
A
through
lot.
that. We have to watch others
A
play
lot.
and they can't
Hmm.
afford it, right? And
No.
like as we're gonna be diving into this podcast, they're gonna see how much these kids are missing just from the cost because they cannot
Hmm.
participate just because they can't afford it. And that's so
Hmm.
sad.
It
So
is a
considering
sad
that
reality.
you sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I was
No, it
just
is. It
confirming
is.
it's a sad reality. Hmm.
So I want to ask if you, because like I've gone through it too. So I'm as much as you're comfortable about it.
Hmm. Hmm.
How was it growing up in a tough upbringing? I mean, like the more socioeconomic side of things, and of course,
Okay.
what low socioeconomic status areas bring as well.
I always say, unfortunately, poverty is something that it's not. It's a sad, another sad reality. We just spoke about that, but it teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot. If you really take time to 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 embrace your situation, you learn a lot. I mean, of course, in Montreal, they call it it's the low income housings, right? I mean, you see all the strategies we use to survive. Um, my parents were very strict. That I thank them for that because you're very at risk in those environments. But again, taking care of like your pair of shoes, you have one pair. Like taking care of your clothes. You got to look fly the next day. You better go and wash. You can't just walk home and then toss it in the corner because you have other clothes in the wardrobe. That pair of jeans, man, it looks good. I need to wash it. So you take care of your stuff. You become so independent. And to be honest with you, I wanted to be my desire to be a normal child. That's what helped me. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to be someone. I didn't want to be like those guys in my neighborhood. Um, of course, football football saved me, I would say, because it gave me a passion. It gave me something to focus on. And what I liked with football was, it's funny when you live in those neighborhoods, you can't tell your boys, "Hey guys, I gotta go home. I gotta go study." These guys were
That's
laughing
true.
about.
Yeah, they're
Oh, I
allergic. I
gotta,
didn't hear.
I
They're
gotta
like, oh,
finish.
you're soft.
You're soft.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when you say, "Hey man, I just came from practice. I gotta go eat." Oh no, it's all good. Hey, when's the next game? It's like that sport is kind of it's accepted. That's like it's normal. Okay, you're serious in sport. That's good. But it helped me because I would come home, I would be tired, I wouldn't have time to hang around. And when I would go and eat, then I would do my homework. So I was not, oh, look at him. He's no, hey, that's a football player. So you kind of still fit in. But if I would have said, hey, I just got 85, I'm trying to get 90, these guys would have laughed about you know, or I'm getting recruited to go play in CJ in college. So it's acceptable. I'm recruited to go to university. But if you just say I want to go to university just as a student, they make fun of you. So it's all those stuff that puts you at risk because then again, there's the toxic masculinity you got to deal with. There's all bunch of things that will put you behind that slows down your integration in the real society. And also the pro-social skills. I mean, it's a different reality in the project. You know, you see someone disrespect someone, it happens a different way. But when you go in the real world, you got to know how to, deal with that. But this environment doesn't prepare you for what's the real life. But again, I will say it makes you tough. It makes you resilient. You know, like
There's so much I could touch upon there, man.
there's so much. Oh man.
You're like, I'm getting all reminiscent of the past, and like, the thing is like, yeah, you cannot talk about being ambitious in school. Like when I mentioned that I want to go to university. Oh no, I remember one of the first experiences I had when I told someone, yeah, I'm going to York, and they looked at me like, you? Like, you're going to school? And like, I'm like, what's so bad about me going to school? And they're just like, because they don't think much of you, right? If you're like one of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
kids, right? But one of the hardest transitions I ever had was what you just last mentioned. The way you have to handle disrespect. You're not
Yeah.
prepared for the real world, like you mentioned. If I go out there and I say my first experience, I started yelling, and then I get in trouble. Yeah, obviously, because that's how it's done. We don't know
And then you
that.
exclude yourself.
Exactly. Then you looked at like exactly what they thought of you. But that's
Yes,
why
yes.
when you mentioned sports and how football,
Oh
how
yeah.
that like gave you an identity for what, and when I say identity, I mean like respected identity. Like you're able
Yes,
to go to
yes.
university because you could be like, yeah, I'm going to university because I'm going to play ball, not because I'm going to
Yes.
university because I want a degree. Because if you say that,
Yes.
they're like, well, you're wasting time, right? But
Hmm.
like you see how the focus it gave you, where to be, what to do. You're too tired to cause trouble anyways. And then we tie back what we just talked about, where some kids, they can't even afford to do that. So then what
Hmm.
happens, right? Everything you
Exactly.
just mentioned, they start doing the bad stuff.
Because they're trapped. It's like those are my friends. I have to be loyal to them. So I have to go with them. But then what sports gives you, you have another group of friends. And
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it helps. And you said sometimes it's not everybody who can stand and say, hey, I just want to focus and I want to do nobody has that strength yet, especially teenagers. We're followers most of the time. So that sport kind of helps you to stay on track. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you were born here or when you.
If you want to hear more stories, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like. To support more youth by youth led projects, visit us at youthspeak.ca, where you can donate and spread youth mental health awareness.
YouthSpeak Performance Charity. Speak, inspire, change.